Hello, everyone. How are ya? Thanks for being here. We have another one of GTS, and today, again, like every other time, we have some amazing, guests. This time, we have a woman, and I'm very, very proud to say that she was the first Gikoto ambassador. To when we first started. Um, I don't want to speak too much because there's so much. I remember the very first time that I spoke with her, and the genuine type of person, of woman that she is, has grown, um, and her art is just absolutely amazing. So again, I don't want to talk too much, but without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to none other than Sophia Barrett. How are you, Sophia?
Good here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm sorry. Hopefully, I didn't, sell it too much. But no, if anything, I undersold it. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's been awesome. You guys are currently in town for a conference,
Yes.
correct?
hmm
Which is fantastic. What is the name of the conference?
Maternity and Newborn Summit.
Maternity Newborn Summit, and that's up in North Dallas, which is in the Colony, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So if you guys have not, um, if you guys haven't gone to it or registered, I don't know if registrations have
Closed.
closed or
There
anything,
may still
or
be a few openings. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely go check it
Go
out.
to the site and check.
Still have 2 more days, right? It starts
Yeah.
Saturday, so there may be a chance.
awesome. Well, hopefully, if they are, well, hopefully they'll have another one next year.
Absolutely.
For it. But for right now, again, well, as you guys know, here at GTS, we always start. GTS is Gikoro, tequila, and shots, and every single show we have a different type of tequila. And this one, I'm actually extremely proud. If you guys remember last episode, we actually had Mijenta. Mijenta was also done by Master the Distiller, which was a female. But this one is one that I was kind of saving for a very special moment, and what more special moment than this than to have a woman owned business and ran, and obviously the spine of that with your
Let's
husband.
do the grunt.
So there it is, the grunt work, what it
Absolutely
is.
not.
But today we have La Gritona. La Gritona. Have you guys? First of all, are you guys, tequila, beer, no drinking, little bit of drinking? Do you like tequila?
So I'll go first. So
Go ahead.
very little drinking, but I do like tequila. So I may drink 2 or 3 times a year, but I do enjoy a good tequila.
Okay. All right.
And I might drink less than that.
That's fine. That's fine. The whole thing about this is we're not here to be luscious. We're not here to drink. This is to savor, and that's one of the things. Tequila is something. It's a sipping tequila, especially this one, which is a very organic, made in Los Altos, in tequila. But the best part about this tequila, and the reason I wanted this, is because this is the only tequila that is completely 100% woman made.
That's beautiful.
From the master distillery to everyone, master tequilera to the distillery to everything is done. And then the bottle itself, I love the bottle, but the bottle is made from recycled cold bottle.
It's an
So it's a beautiful bottle. Again, 100% organic certified. So without further ado, we're gonna pop this little sucker, and then I'm gonna give you a quick little talk of how we do this. That way, it doesn't burn. You guys are all. If you guys have something handy, please pour yourself a drink, and so there you go, Derek. And then I'm gonna have you guys do a proper introduction in just a minute. There we go. All right. So as you guys know, with tequila, one thing that you want to do, obviously, it's alcohol. You know, it's a spirit. So one thing that you want to do is first you want to take what's called a pinch. So it's a very small thing. Basically, sip with your lips, and just put it kind of around your mouth with your gums, with your tongue. Kind of rub it all the way around. There you go. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Then you're going to do another one. The second one, you're going to kind of make a little canoe with the top of your tongue. And you're going to put it in there, and then you're going to splash it to the roof of your mouth. So it's kind of... So,
Never heard any of this before.
So...
I don't know if I did it right, but it still went down.
There you go. Now, reverse. Inhale through your mouth. Exhale through your nose. And now you can actually take a good sip. And it'll be a lot smoother than when you usually are. So that's it. Very quick. There's a lot more to it, but you know we don't have the time, so we're gonna move on that. So,
Yeah.
with that said, please, can you introduce yourselves? I want everyone to be very familiar, and obviously we're gonna talk about you guys' work, where you guys are based out of, and stuff like that. But for right now, let's do some proper introductions.
Sure. So I am Sophia Barrett, and this is my husband, Derek Barrett, and we own Sophia Barrett Studios located in Atlanta, Georgia. We specialize in portraiture and fine art portraiture. We focus heavily on women, especially women of color, and celebrating them in all stages of life, celebrating everything from maternity to birthdays, all kinds of celebrations, divorces. Like a couple.
Divorce, really?
Yeah, just women celebrating like life after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it's definitely a passion. We transitioned from capturing weddings, doing a lot of weddings, to portraiture because of life circumstances. And those life circumstances really helped us understand the power in connecting with women and connecting with them and telling their stories through art.
Okay, fantastic. And how long have you been doing? Because you guys used to shoot weddings at one time, correct?
I'll take some of this. It's okay. So yeah, we actually started shooting. I'm gonna take a little bit more of this.
Go for it. We've got plenty.
So we actually started shooting weddings in 2011, and we shot weddings heavily from about 2011 to right around 2018 and 2017, 2018. Right?
Yeah.
And then that's when we started transitioning into more of the portraiture. So we should do 25 to 30 weddings a year. It's just tough to kind of like have every weekend dedicated to weddings, and we just want to have a little bit more balance and have more time on the weekends to spend with our family. And so that was the main reason we transitioned in around about 2018, really heavily to portraiture.
Portraiture. And right now, you guys do it's 100% portraits, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So portraiture is 100% what you guys are doing. Okay. So obviously you guys were doing, you guys did, the wedding part of it. Was that a natural kind of the next phase? How did you guys land into doing the the maternity, the aspect of it? So
when we decided that we wanted to start our family, that's basically what caused it to happen. So we did portraiture here and there while we were shooting weddings. And I'm the one who mainly did it because Derek still worked for Home Depot corporate at the time. So during the week, he would be gone, and I would do portraits during the week. So when we transitioned into just doing portraiture, it's because we started fostering. And we started fostering because we found out that we weren't able to have children naturally.
okay.
So that's like a whole thing. That's
And we'll talk if you guys are okay with it. I would love to talk a
Absolutely.
little bit more about that. So
So we transitioned to doing portraiture because we wanted to be home on the weekends for the kids that we were fostering.
It was really hard to so shooting weddings. We didn't have any family with us in Atlanta at that time, so like scrambling, trying to find people to babysit, for girls was really difficult.
yeah,
And so it was really challenging trying to balance that. And then I work full time during the week, and so
And not just that, the foster care system is
has
tough.
challenges,
It's tough.
lots of challenges.
Yeah.
We'll say it like that.
So it was always difficult to really feel comfortable with who we left the kids with. And sometimes the outcomes were not good.
Yeah.
So it was just difficult for us to even be able to,
Feel comfortable.
yeah, while shooting a wedding, knowing that the kids that were entrusted to us for, that period, anything could be happening to them.
yeah. Okay, yeah. That's definitely that's tough. So I remember the very first time that I had, that I had the pleasure of hearing which I believe was your first talk, which was last year at Fearless. Was that your first?
Last year was 2 years ago.
Almost two, like a year and 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I obviously, we had talked a little bit. I'd gotten to know you guys a little bit more, but I was completely blown away by how open you were about, the entire, ordeal slash, story, from you guys. So I do want to talk a little bit more. One of the reasons why I started doing this is because when I was a photographer and I would look up to these, the photographers and stuff like that, we kind of saw these, or I personally saw these individuals. I was like, oh man, they're booking weddings all the time, and almost to like, their life is perfect, everything's fantastic, and it kind of got me down in a lot of sense where, I had. When I first started, I had two jobs. I was doing, my photography, and then I had a, full-time job. And then when I did that, I wasn't booking enough weddings. Why were all the people doing this? And people that I would go to these, conferences and talk, and they would give these big, long, beautiful talks about, how successful and all this stuff but I never saw the back end of all of that. So when I started teaching, one of the things that I wanted to do was be as real as possible, where I was like, hey, listen, I'm getting the same thing. I'm getting denied, I'm getting undercut. I'm getting all of that stuff. Plus, I have a family. I have to, so there all the stress of everything else, with that. We've had other guests in here that obviously open up very well and everybody has their own challenges. You just said that you guys were fostering because you weren't able to have your own children. Was that a big, has that influenced on the way you capture now that you're doing maternity, that you're doing all this? Has that been a big influence on the art that you are creating?
Absolutely. So when I was going through that, first off, just dealing with society and the expectations that are placed on you as a woman, you're expected to be able to have a child naturally. You're expected to be able to carry a child. And when that doesn't happen, the things that people might say are things like, oh, you just need to pray more. You just need to drink more water. You need to go on vacation and not think about it. Just people can be really insensitive. And that experience really started to help me understand like what other women might be going through, and it wasn't until I started connecting with other women who were going through the same thing, or couples in general who were going through the same thing, and talking to them about how they don't feel like they can open up about it because no one understands. And when they open up about it, people say the wrong thing or they just make the situation worse. So I started opening up more because I saw the need for it. So I would talk to people more about it, be more, open to talking about it. But when it comes to photography and how it impacted the work, um, when we went through that experience and we started to foster, and I started to let go of my obsession, this need of like me having to carry the child, and starting to care more about the actual human beings that were in our care there, then, and at that moment, and how important it was, how like, our role as parents in nurturing and being there for them. I started to let go of all of that, and I started to focus more on like the clients that were coming in and their stories and their challenges and what they were going through. And I started to become more inspired by, you know, what we could do with the work if I listened to them more, if I started to wonder about how we could incorporate elements of their story into the work. And that really changed, you know, the way that we worked with clients. It changed our creative process. It changed the type of work that we were doing. It changed everything. So
It changed the energy on the day of the shoot.
Oh yeah,
Because like you're thinking about how impactful these images are going to be for this family for the rest of their lives, and how important it is. So it changes a lot.
Yeah. Which, if you guys, you know, have not seen Sophia's work, it's you know, you play it down as like, oh, they're not portraits. I mean, they're massive piece of work. I mean, that was like they completely, you're in charge of everything, right? They design sets. They, you know, what the client wears. I mean, everything is completely kind of tailored, and you know, and you can tell, because I don't think I've seen anything that, you know, from portrait to portrait to portrait that I've seen of everything that you post that even looks like one another. Everything's completely different. So I'm like, oh my God, like how do you guys keep coming up with these ideas? Does your client inspire you to do these, you know, the super creative? Because everything, I mean, they're like perfection. They really, really are. And one of the things that kind of, when I started seeing your work, was you're kind of one of the pioneers of that. I mean, you know, obviously we have, you know, big names like Leibovitz and stuff like that, but those are completely different things. But when it came to like family portraits, maternity and stuff like that, that was something that I had personally never seen. You know, it was your very typical, beautiful stuff, but very typical type of family portraits and stuff. And then all of a sudden your images come around. I'm like, I was blown away from the beginning. So what is your creative process when it comes? You talked a little bit about, you know, when your client comes in, you started focusing more on that. Very quickly, kind of like, what is your creative process to start? How long does it take you to do, you know, these things?
I mean, it depends on the shoot. It depends on like what the client books with us, and you know how involved they want us to be in you know what we create for them.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna lower these down just a little bit.
okay. So as far as like how much time it takes, it could take anywhere between, for me to plan a session, it could take anywhere between like a couple of days to weeks, depending on what we're doing for them. Yeah, how intricate, how many, you know, different vendors we're involving in the process, or, you know, and then as far as like executing it, again, that varies. And we love that. We love getting creative.
Most of the time.
It's stressful. It's
I can,
challenging.
yeah, absolutely. So with when you're doing these, are the majority of your clients like local clients? Are they coming from other parts of the states?
No.
Other, I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
The majority of our clients are definitely out of
town.
Mm-hmm.
So how does the process start? I mean, like, do you guys do a lot of calls, a lot of Zooms, a lot of FaceTimes to start getting that stuff? And when the client shows up, do you guys have all this done already? And then they just go in there and start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So basically, we start off with a Zoom consultation.
Okay.
We have to have a Zoom consultation.
Everybody, yeah.
No one can book with us without sitting down, having a meeting, me getting to know them, seeing them on video, interacting with them. We record those because I sit down and I use those conversations as like the first step of the research for me. So, yeah, we definitely sit down during a consultation. We record them. Those consultations last usually about an hour. And it's not because what I have to go over with them takes an hour, but because of the amount of back and forth with the client, getting them to get their guard down, getting them to be really comfortable with me, getting them to laugh.
Investing the time to get to know them so you can create something unique.
Exactly. So I really take the time to know their backstory, where they grew up, you know, their likes, their dislikes, their hobbies, just anything that I can know about them. And then making sure that we continue that same energy on the day of the shoot. So when they come in, we've executed everything. Their garments are ready to go. The set is ready to go. They're able to see everything on a screen because we tether. So we can make adjustments so that they feel like they're part of the process. We really like to work collaboratively with them because that really helps to make them feel like, you know, I created a piece of artwork for my home, for my family, for my children, for, you know, future generations that I'm really proud of, that I'm excited about, and that I can't wait to pass down for generations.
It helps with like I said earlier, it helps with the energy on the day of the shoot because they're excited, the family's excited, and so it just helps keep that emotion high. And
okay. So really quick, we've got a couple of things. I'm gonna have you guys lean into the mic a little bit more because I think it's a little bit low. Guys, if you you know, please let us know if it's too low, whatever. We will make the adjustments on there. But Vic, thank you guys for joining in. Sandra, just like in.
Tomorrow Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, so that definitely, you know, it helps me understand a little bit more because, like I said, if you guys have not gone, please go to her website. When this is done, we'll put links and stuff like that to the websites, you know. But it definitely, I mean, it takes a village from what I can tell, just because of everything. So everything's done on site. Everything is in your studio, from makeup to wardrobe to all of that. You know, all of that. Does the client bring wardrobe, or do you guys supply some of that stuff?
We don't provide clothing for men.
Okay.
Unfortunately, maybe one day we will. But for now, it's
barely have room for the women. So we'll see.
My gosh. But yeah, we provide clothing for women.
Okay.
So they don't have to worry about wardrobe, accessories, anything. And then we style. So they know everything that they need to purchase, from the kind of underwear they need to buy to the types of clip-ins they need to buy.
Okay.
And then we have a great team.
Awesome team.
We have an awesome team.
Let's shout them out. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have Nikita Lachard, who does our hair and our makeup. We also work with other hairstylists and makeup artists in the area that are also amazing. And then we have our production, as well as just people who help us with lots more than just general production. We have Sharitha Sheets, who's amazing, as well as Kimberly Fouché. So everyone who is on our team is as passionate about the people that we photograph. So that was something that was really important for us, to hire people that are passionate about other people, passionate about making sure that they have a great experience, understanding that we're not just taking pictures, like we are capturing something that is going to mean the world to their family. And, you know, generations from now, those portraits are going to have stories that are passed down. This is how people pass down their legacies. So on the day of the shoot, it's high energy, it's laughs, we're cracking jokes. We have our clients dying of laughter. We have such a great time in the studio. So all around, like what we do, it's definitely a love. Like we love every aspect of it.
Well, and it shows. I mean, you can always tell, and this is something that is very, very true when it comes to, you know, when you start creating stuff like this. I mean, you have to love what you do. It's a lot of work. The majority of the sessions, are they done over multiple days? Is it a one day thing? Do you have? Is it one day?
I don't think we ever had Well, yeah, we've never had a session that
Last
spent
over.
yeah.
No, but our sessions are not short.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we do take a lot of time to coach clients when it comes to posing and everything in between. So we understand that people who come into the studio, they're not models. We understand that they're not confident in front of the camera. So we take a lot of time to guide the clients when it comes to their energies, when it comes to the types of emotions that they emit. And it's so important because it doesn't matter like just how perfect everything can look. Like the backdrop can look perfect, their hair, their makeup, everything can look perfect. But if they are in this pose and then they got their toes all up in the air, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they're in this perfect pose, but they have all this tension in their fingers, or whatever the case, then the image, you've given it away. It's not perfect. Their expression isn't a completion of what the story is that we're trying to tell. So we take a lot of time with, guiding a client on the day of. So we do not rush photo shoots at
Yeah,
all.
well, absolutely, and that's something that, obviously, if the client knows this, or you guys, I'm assuming you guys, ahead of time tell them, hey, it's probably gonna be X amount of hours. It's gonna be all day.
Yeah.
So maternity has been growing. I mean, like crazy within the last few years. It's always been very important, but now again, I think you guys have kind of pioneered this way of portraiture and maternity portraiture when it comes to it. And you guys, before I forget, you have a daughter.
Yes.
You do have a daughter. So I definitely want to talk about about that part before and after. Just me being a father, I can go back into my career and see weddings before I was a dad and after I was a dad, and how different it was. And towards the end, we know, right now I have 3 children, and towards the end of it, I'm a mess. Especially my oldest one, it's she was a girl, so when father-daughter dances came up, I mean, I was just blah. I was a puddle when it came to stuff like that. Do you mind if we talk a little bit more about your daughter, your family, and how that kind of developed? And again, here, whatever you guys feel comfortable with, absolutely.
You mean how it developed, how we came to have her?
Absolutely, yeah. Just
So we fostered. So she is actually part of a larger family, and that was a difficult situation. It was really hard because we grew close to her siblings as well as her. She was born with some complications, and she needed multiple surgeries when she was an infant. So her siblings were adopted all by one family, but she, because of the amount of
care. So she had multiple feeding therapy, occupational therapy, physical
she had a
therapy.
cleft palate. She was on a G tube. So there was a whole lot. So we were able to keep her. So we were able to adopt her at the same time that the rest of her siblings were also adopted.
So we adopted her and her siblings. Everything happened on the same day. So we're still very close to that family.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
So she still sees her siblings. We still are able to have visitations. Well, we don't call them visitations. We just get to go hang out.
Absolutely, you with them. Yeah.
So we're blessed for that to have been how it worked out. So as far as where she is now in life, she's like a fireball. That little girl.
That's amazing.
Despite the challenges that she had, like she's amazing. She's so energetic, and she has a huge zeal for life. So I know that she's going to be someone amazing when she's older, she's going to be doing like some amazing things because her imagination, all of that, like she is singular. So as far as like how it affects work, like what I love about what we do is that she is able to see so much of what we do. She loves it, right? She understands so much when it comes to photography and posing and composition and art.
That's awesome.
And I can't wait to see how that develops as she grows older and how she incorporates that into whatever aspect she decides to do with her life.
She likes to help us a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're still
She's
working
not
on
an
that.
assistant yet.
Yeah.
She's not an assistant.
She'll say, all right, mommy and daddy, I'll help you. And then,
I'm going to watch TV now.
yeah, all right, you guys good? All right, I'm going to watch.
But like she talks about being a photographer. She has 2 cameras. She has one camera that's strictly for photography and then one camera that's for video. And so she talks about like why each one does its own thing and why she uses each one for whatever. But I also love the fact that like we have her at workshops with us. We have her, coming to us to photo shoots and like she's exposed to those things. So she has a leg up when it comes to that world compared to other kids. And I think that that's a really cool thing.
No, absolutely. Did you see when you guys adopted, were you guys already doing portraits, or were you still guys shooting? Were you guys still shooting weddings?
We were doing
you were
portraits.
doing portraits. Can you see? I mean, could you see a shift in your work after you adopted, or was it since you guys had already kind of were fostering and stuff like that? It's always been pretty much the same.
I think the shift started to happen when
Started fostering?
Yeah, when we started fostering, because it was my focus, especially for me. It was my focus, and because before we started experiencing just what that world was, and then seeing what kids go through and really what was important in life. When I would do photo shoots and I was like, for people who are dealing with infertility, when you are ready to have a child, everyone else in your community is also ready to have a kid. And they are having kids, right? So you're going to baby showers, you're going to sprinkles, birthday parties, you're going to, because those are your friends, and it's just so difficult. You're emotional, you're trying to be happy for them, but you can't be like just fully there, right? And then when you're shooting maternity, it's kind of the same thing if you are not at a place where you're at peace. So I was just focused on me having a bump. I was focused on like, oh, I want to be pregnant too, or I want to have a baby shower. I want to, give birth. I want to have the experience of having my hospital bag and packing my hospital bag. And I want to, so going through the experience of foster care. And I talk to people about that a lot. Like if you are dealing with infertility and you're doing IVF cycle after IVF cycle after IVF cycle, and you're dropping 25 G's a pop, or foster care for a little bit. Just foster. Take a break. There are kids that are here right now who need love, who just need to be somewhere safe. Like they want to know that they can sleep and know that nothing's going to happen to them when they sleep, that they can wake up, they're going to be fed food, that they're going to be given clean clothes, taken to school. Like, these are things that kids don't have, like, now. Yeah. So doing that will change. So when we started doing that, like, a shift in our work started happening. That's when I was able to, like, truly understand what portraits can be for a family, how much they can mean for a family, the impact of portraits. When we did IVF, at the end of that cycle, I developed idiopathic intracranial hypertension. which
Layman's
is
terms.
basically my brain or my pituitary gland or whatever, it makes too much spinal fluid.
Okay.
So that causes my brain to swell. It causes lots of nerve issues and whatever
Vertigo.
else. Vertigo, really bad vertigo. It causes all kinds of things. I found out because basically I was going blind because my optic nerve was swollen and bleeding, and because my brain was pushing up against it. So, at when we stopped, like we did IVF, we didn't choose to do another round of it. So basically, IIH, idiopathic intracranial hypertension, so IIH, it causes even like memory issues. So I started to not be able to like retain events, like things that would happen unless I had a picture, unless I had photos to remember it, like to look back, to help me retain those memories, right?
Yeah.
So like that experience, the experience of infertility, experience of, foster care, all of that, it really, all of that helped to shift, the way that we work. It helped to shift, the importance of what we were doing, our mission, our focus.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, yeah. Oh. Okay. Okay.
I'm trying not
It's
to get
always
too
emotional.
emotional.
No, but no. So yeah, and seeing those are the things, especially to be honest, being a man. These are things we've acquaintances that have had infertility issues or they had to have treatments and such. But when it comes to it, you were part of the whole situation, so you're well versed on that, But ignorant men like myself,
I was ignorant until we started having the issues
Yeah.
ourselves, right? And then you become, as a man, like you're not raised as a man, like.
You probably need to get closer.
Oh, okay, sorry. Like Sophie was raised to be a mother, right? And I wasn't specifically, that wasn't like my identity as a man growing up, was to provide for your wife and eventually for your family. But like, it's not on my mind 24/7 to, have a child. Of course
Yeah.
And so through this situation, I've become more sensitive to the needs of women and other couples. And it's opened my eyes greatly. So
Yeah.
it's very transformative. And talking about it is healing as well, right? And so we realized that because so many people keep this in and so many people are ashamed, but as we started telling our friends and family members about what we're going through, we realized that helped with our healing process as well. And then we were helping so many other people that are dealing, and so many people that you don't know, because people suffer in silence.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's something that, again, that's something that is not talked about, enough. One of the things you brought an excellent point, like growing up on my family, we don't take a lot of pictures. So I'm actually the only photographer in my family that came out. Now my brother, is one as well. Compared to my wife, Nancy, which you guys know, Nancy, they grew up taking pictures of everything. But one thing I do remember is that the times that we did take photographs, I can literally look at that photograph and go back to that moment. And we don't have very many. I can guarantee you my entire childhood fits in one photo album that we have as a family. But I can go and see that one picture and I can go back to that moment. So for you to be able to, relate to that, because of what you went through, and now be able to create such amazing, pieces for these families, it's incredible, and it's got to be fulfilling, in so many ways. Do you guys have couples that have come that have had, fertility issues and such?
More than at least 50%, maybe.
I
Around 50, like a very high percentage.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's partly because we do share that. We do
Okay.
share that because again, if you are not dealing with infertility, right? If you're a couple that, hey, you decide that you want to have kids and then you guys start trying and then you guys just start banging out kids. Like you don't understand what it's like for people who are dealing with infertility. So you don't want to necessarily be in a space with somebody who, like, if I just, I reach out to somebody for a maternity session and I've just done 4 rounds of IVF to get this kid.
Oof.
And I'm talking to a photographer who is insensitive to that, right? They
Yeah.
could say a lot of stuff that is going to piss me right off.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we do share that because people reach out to us because they know that we are going to be sensitive to that.
So that, yeah.
Like there's a client that we photographed and she was expecting through surrogacy. And she was expecting twins. And that experience, right, being photographed, hiring somebody to do a maternity session, right, you're photographing with the surrogate. You're battling with thoughts of, am I going to show my kids this? Do I want my kids to see what the surrogate looked like? Do I want my kids to have a lasting memory of the surrogate? Do I want will I hide these photos until my kids turn a certain age? There's all of these things that you have to consider. The posing of the couple with the surrogate, how you pose the couple with the surrogate, when you incorporate the surrogate. There's a whole lot of stuff that you have to think
Holy,
about.
Yeah.
Be
That's,
sensitive to. Right? Yeah.
And a lot of people don't sit down and think about those
Yeah.
things. So we had meetings just about how we would approach all of these different things. We had meetings about the day of. We had meetings about all of that. So I think it's really important that, first off, if you don't know what that is like, you figure it out because you are servicing people who have dealt with that.
Absolutely.
Another example, one time we had this is recent, we had a photo reveal with a client who's had issues with having miscarriages, and luckily they were blessed to be pregnant again. But so what we do normally is after a photo shoot, well, pretty much every time we'll have a reveal where they decide what photos they want. Image review. Where they decide, hey, these are where they decide, hey, these are the images that we want edited and so forth. And for some reason, our mother that day she was just super emotional and couldn't do her image review that day.
And the reason for it is because they were still mourning the loss of their miscarriage, because that child was born pretty far along, or was,
pretty far along when that happened.
Yeah,
right.
when that happened, that was pretty far. So they were still mourning that loss and then trying to figure out how to be happy and joyful at the same time with the coming of this baby. So she was having a difficult time with everything. She was having a difficult time with, her body. She was having a difficult time with everything. So just being super sensitive to that, right? Because just being super sensitive to how she felt, the psychology of it all. Everything that I said, my tone, how quickly or how I addressed things, with her. Just rescheduling,
right.
Just, saying no problem, let's just meet on another day. Let's meet on a day that you feel better, just being sensitive to all of that. It made a huge difference in her experience. It made a difference in the photos that she selected and everything, because she was able to just take a moment, because she was speaking to somebody who was not rushing her, who wasn't insensitive, who wasn't just like,
What are you doing? Let's go.
who understood.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line is who understood. I think I'm a very very firm believer. And there's certain types of photography, maternity being one of them, even families, that I think women surpass men. You know, in that aspect. One, because in situations like you were saying, you relate more to the. It's not just about having beautiful. I mean, anybody can take a beautiful cold picture. I mean, that's an image, but to create something that's going to be that they can look back and have in a wonderful experience. You know, the lighting. You know, that's all the technical part of it. That's secondary when it comes to it. You know, but everything that goes up to that point is you know, in my opinion, something that really, you know, transcend, and something that when they look back, they're gonna, you know, not like, yeah, that's a beautiful image, but let me tell you about what happened behind. You know, this is what Sophia, you know, did for us. This is, and that kind of speaks volumes when it comes to it, and you can see that in the imagery at the final, you know, the final images. It's what shows. So, that's that. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for being so open, because I can guarantee you that there's going to be quite a bit of few people. Guys, if the sound is better, please let us know. If there's something that we need to adjust, please let us know. Also, if you guys have any questions, please, you know, or comments or anything, let us know. You know, we're here. You know, we'll be talking for a bit. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for sharing
Thank you
that.
for having us.
I know, absolutely. So let's take a. I'm gonna get a little refill and try to try to get my emotions in check, just for the mere reason that, again, it's something that I'm very. And I think I'm a sensitive guy when it comes to it. I really do, but there's nothing that can compare to, you know, to what, you know, what couples, you know, we were very lucky, you know, and we didn't that, you know, the only one of my best friends, you know, they did have, you know, some infertility issues, but they ended up, but these are things that we don't think about. These are things
happening more often.
Absolutely, and that is something that's becoming a little bit more. Do you think it's becoming more common just because people are being more open about it, or do you think that is just something that is just happening more and more?
You want to get into that?
Yeah, let's for a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean, you know,
I think infertility is something. I mean, I don't think. I think it's, you know, all over the news. It's all over. You know, studies, people are realizing more and more because of the food that we eat.
Okay, yeah.
Environmental factors.
And environmental factors, the things that we put on our skin, the forever chemicals.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
all of these
Which
things.
is stuff that are coming up now. So yeah.
Oh yeah, like all of that is contributing to the increase in like infertility in not just women but in men. So it's definitely, I think that since, what was the year? It was something not even that long ago. I think like since 2015 or something. Don't quote me. I could be completely wrong. But like the amount of infertility in men has like doubled in a very short amount of time.
I think I've actually I think I read an article, and it definitely has been within the last decade that it has happened. I don't, you know, you probably know yours more than me, but I definitely do recall reading something about, you know, studies that have been done within the last decade that has shown, you know, infertility in men that is a lot more common, which was something that wasn't, you know, before. And I agree with you. I really do. I do think that is a big contributing factor to why everything that's kind of going on right now. I mean, we can be blind, you know, to it, because if we do, hey, within the next 200 years, I don't think we'll be around here. No. You know, unfortunately. So that's definitely something, you know, to highly, you know, consider. But again, thank you guys for being so open about it. I know, you know, our you know, listeners are going to do. And the great thing about this is, like, we never cut these. So these are whole just the way we record them. We upload them and they live there
Oh.
in the interweb, in the interwebs forever. So people can actually come back and and listen to a lot of these things. Let's go back a little bit into the photography world, if you might. You guys do you guys miss shooting weddings?
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I miss actually shooting engagements more so than weddings. So we do I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 a year. We'll do like in studio engagements.
Okay.
But I do kind of miss like going outside and into the field. So we might do more of those. Like I do like those were very fun because you don't have the pressure of the time constraints of the wedding day.
Yeah.
You can really connect with the clients and be creative. So I think we might try to, if I can convince her. She likes the studio environment.
Yes. Okay. And there's this, it's great benefits to doing studio. I've been lucky enough that I'm able to or have been able to do both, in studio, and I've done weddings and I've done other work, and I couldn't say that I have. For a long time, I loved weddings.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I shot weddings, and I was very lucky in the stuff that I shot or whatever. Now weddings, I'm, fully retired from the wedding, aspect of it. But I absolutely loved it when I did do it.
I'm sure that you loved photographing people that actually that loved each other and not did it for Instagram. Or
yes, that part, I do. I stopped right before all this new kind of, I think the last wedding that I shot was at the end of 2022, and it was for actually, somebody who had a really good friend of mine, and it was a big wedding, an individual that we never thought he was going to get married, and to be to be able to capture, his wedding and his, forever after was pretty awesome. A great way to, in my opinion, to close my career, in that aspect of it. Not that I'm not going to say that I won't shoot, any more weddings. If anything, I might, come out of retirement, but I do. I loved them when I did. And I think, like you were saying, I think engagements were a great part of it, because that's when I got to know them, and stuff like that. While you were here in the last, I think yesterday, we talked a little bit about you have some things up your sleeve that you're going to be releasing here pretty soon. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? Do you want to just kind of keep it close to your chest? It's either way. There's no right or wrong answer.
I'll talk about a couple of the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know, and here's another one. And the thing about this, can I talk about boudoir?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about that's you kind of something that you're very passionate about, that you want to, that you're going to be going into. As you know, Sean Black is one of Gikoto's ambassadors or whatever. And I love telling the story, because when I met Sean a few years back, I didn't know Sean was a boudoir photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And we were, Kate Caglione was she's an amazing wedding photographer as well, and a few other females that were also wedding boudoir photographers. Kate's a boudoir photographer, and there was Sean Black. Without me knowing that Sean Black also shot boudoir, and the first thing I said, I was like, I think female boudoir photographers are fantastic, and I think men who shoot boudoir are creepy. And I dug my hole, and it was just, it's an ignorant part, because I've seen the way Sean and his wife run the studio, and it's absolutely amazing. But I'm a firm believer that I think, men just, don't. In my opinion, I couldn't do it, and I'm speaking strictly about me. I couldn't do it, just because I just don't see that. The bride part of it, when I had brides that came in and they loved, the way I worked, and they would be, "Can you do my boudoir?" Like, no, I'm just for the mere fact that I don't know how to do it. I'm not. I don't think I could pull it off. And there was great, acquaintances that I knew, great photographers that did that. I was like, please go to her, and I would always, refer that out to them. seeing your, the artistry that you do with your maternity and stuff, I mean, are you going the same direction with that? And you please, if you feel comfortable, great. If not, it's totally fine.
I'll be honest, I'm still developing that. So I know that I want to do it differently than what I see, because it's not like boudoir photography as is not something that excites me.
Okay.
The way that I see it done now is not something that really makes me, want to shoot in that way. So I want to do something different. I'm still developing that, and I cannot wait.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's great. But at least we know, and we can't wait to see what you come up with on that on that aspect. Cool. Now, let's talk. One thing that I love talking, and this is a question that I always kind of talk about the state, and this is something that comes up, especially on our end when it comes to Gikoto and being somebody who makes products for photographers and stuff. The photography industry currently. What is your opinion on the state of the industry as a whole currently?
The state of the photography industry as a whole. I mean, I don't know if I really have an opinion on that, on the photography industry as a whole, because I think that I'm still learning all the ins and outs of the photography industry as a whole. Because, for the most part, we've been in our own bubble, right?
Yeah.
With SBS, either doing weddings or portraiture. But now we are, of course, working more and more with sponsors, amazing sponsors like Gikoto, and then
now you're an educator. Now you're teaching. I'm gonna narrow it down a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit more about education and stuff like that. In the photography industry, like I said, I'm an old timer. I've been doing this for a while, so I didn't have a lot of the pressure. We had our own challenges, back in the day. Like right now, from advertisement, and stuff like that was a little bit slower. Now, for example, you can take something and then somebody in the other side of the world can see it almost immediately.
Social media. Yeah.
Do you think social media has had an impact?
Yeah.
Do you think it has? One thing that I keep hearing is social media has basically lowered the standards of the industry. For example, the quality of photography has kind of gone down because of that. Do you think social media has had that much of an impact in the industry itself?
I don't think that people's expectations are for less. So in terms of like the quality of photography, the quality of what people create, I would say that it's actually higher. People are expecting more. People are expecting, especially with AI now, right? Like if they don't, clients will reach out and they want a backdrop that looks insane, and they want it to look real. They want it to look realistic. They don't want it to look like a fake backdrop. A lot of times people will reach out to us because they have friends or family that have had portraits done that are, extreme backgrounds or whatever. But to them, they don't feel...
unicorn and 3 rainbows and an astronaut on the side.
All of that sparkles and rainbows shooting everywhere. But for them, it doesn't look quality enough. It looks fake. It looks like it was done with whatever. So when people speak to me, they're talking about, the lighting. They're talking to me about different things that people didn't ask me for, 10 years ago. So I think that because they're exposed to so much, because they see so much, because they're able to compare, on every single day.
Yeah.
People are creating content, and that content is immediately going up on social media. I would say that people are expecting more. So photographers are looking to do more. Photographers are looking to create things that are more impressive. Photographers are looking for more ways to set themselves apart because of the increased
And
competition.
the influx, I think people are desensitized.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, but I actually think it's making it a little harder, honestly.
Do you? I mean, from what you were saying, I completely agree with you in a lot of the aspects of now. I think clients are coming in a lot more educated than they were before. Like you said, they're talking about lighting, they're talking about background drops, they're talking about all of these things that, like you said, before they weren't talking, or they now with AI, like I said. We actually had Vic Roman says social media for the mainstream standards are lower 100%, and I agree. I think for the stuff that people are putting, I personally see social media as a big challenge in a good way, because it does challenge you to be a better creator, as a photographer. I remember for how long they've been talking about, like, oh, very soon you're not going to need photographers. You're not going to need a professional camera because your phone's going to be able to do it. I'm still waiting on that.
Yeah.
I've always been one of those photographers, and talked about this all the time, is when we do go on vacations, I never take my camera. I never did. But when I was a photographer, and even in less now, it was always with my phone. I did it with my phone, and I edited it and I posted it. But that's because I didn't want to live my life through a viewfinder. I started the follow me daddy thing when we do our vacations. It's basically a picture of me holding one of my kids' hands, and then what I see in front of me, and then I put it away and go on. So those are the things that, because again, I don't want to be hiding behind a camera.
Agreed.
With those in those situations. And I think that's one of the things that definitely social media has hindered a lot, that people are no longer enjoying the moments because they're too worried about what they're going to be posting on social media.
And it can be a challenge. And so we just got back from Thailand. So any of our friends can tell you that we've been talking about Thailand for the last 10 years, right? Going to Thailand. For some reason, that's just been something we wanted to do. And so that was one of the challenges when we were there, because it's a great opportunity to create content for our business, but sometimes it's hard to be in a moment too, right?
Absolutely.
So balancing like, did we get video of this versus like, are we truly enjoying ourselves and being in a moment with each other? It's something we're still trying to learn, and then like it's just like exhausting sometimes, like creating getting video of everything. So that's something
Or thinking that we lost it.
Oh yeah. Oh man, we thought we lost our camera at least 3 times.
Oh my God.
We left it on the plane once, and so fortunately they were able to like get it back for us after
Even though they told us
that it wasn't there.
That you couldn't.
No, they told us it wasn't there.
Oh
they
no.
told us it was gone.
And we're like, it's definitely there. And this was in Vietnam actually, this is in Vietnam. And we're like, it's definitely there. Go back and check again, and they found it. But yeah, so balancing real life versus social media. I think that's become more challenging, but it's something go ahead.
But at the same time, it's amazing because to know that, you can make a life while you're out in Vietnam, for yourself. So while you're enjoying, that the content can help make you money. So there's that I think is really, it's a blessing.
Absolutely. And I think those are the things. To find the balance is the biggest key when it comes to it. I do think social media, has revolutionized the industry. Absolutely. I do think, it has hindered it in a lot of ways, but in other ways, I do believe it has really created avenues for generating, income that we didn't have before as creators, as photographers. One thing that I always say is like, to my video guy, acquaintances that do, they're videographers and stuff like that. They're so upset. I was like, well, anybody can do video. Like, I was like, maybe, dude. Like, but you have the upper hand when it comes to it because you're trained. I was like, if you think that these individuals, like the one thing that social media has had within the last few years is that creators are becoming younger and younger, and they're
Right.
learning faster and
Right,
quicker and
exactly.
younger,
Right.
you know, to create great stuff. So yes, is it challenging? Absolutely. I was like, but you have so much more to be able to show. And if you want to create content, I can guarantee you, if these individuals who are great videographers and stuff like that, you start creating content, man, you will blow all these new content creators that are coming in. I think is the way you see things.
Right.
You know, when it comes to it, that is going to be, you know, the difference. You know, like everything else, when digital came in, the film photographers, oh my God, you know, this is, and look at it now, film's coming back.
Right.
You know, we talked about that in the last show. They were like, I shot film. Do I want to shoot film again? No. I
like,
paid.
why?
I paid my dues. I did that. I did what I did. I don't want to shoot that anymore. You know, but you know, I just think, you know, things are, you know, trend, and trends just, you know,
Yeah.
come back,
Cyclical.
you know, all the time on that. So let's talk about AI. You brought AI now. What do you think is, because right now you can find AI on everything.
Mhm.
Just before we started here, we talked a little about ChatGPT. I'm a ChatGPT fanatic. Absolutely. I think every day I use it for one thing or another. But now we have AI for photography, for editing, for not only editing, you know, photos, which our friends from Aftershoot, you know, which you guys are sponsored, you know, by as well.
Shout out Aftershoot.
Yeah, shout out Aftershoot, you know, but AI is I mean, we can't get away from it.
Right.
Let's be honest. AI is here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere or whatnot. How are you guys using it in your business?
Mainly, it helps us to edit in a more efficient way. So, it mostly with Photoshop and you know, being able to use AI within Photoshop has been, and Lightroom
Right.
has been a great
Time saver.
for our business. So,
Because I don't follow her. I shouldn't say her stuff, but we like kind of our claim to fame is the backdrop. So we spend a lot of time, you know, making dramatic backdrops, and a lot of times we have a bunch of light stands and stuff in the background that we have to edit out, and that's helped us a lot because like part of the passion for us is creating backdrops like in studio and like actually making that. And so that's helped us a lot by getting rid of the light stands and getting rid of, you know, things that are in the way. So AI like has been a godsend when it comes to things like that. So go ahead. No, I'm fine.
just, you know, in the back end with handling clients, managing clients, and things of that nature. So we haven't incorporated AI in a huge way in our business just yet. But I'm as far as like thinking whether or not it will take over, I definitely don't think so. I think you have artists, and I think you have people who want true art. I don't think that people who are looking for artwork, people who are looking for something that is genuine, are going to be happy with something that was generated by a computer.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree. I do agree with, you know, a lot. If that was the case, I mean, you know, there would be no more painters, which there's still, you know, everything from street artists that are creating fantastic stuff to, you know, people who are creating art through AI, you know, itself. So I think there's a place for everything. I think right now, you know, like I said, I don't think AI is going anywhere. There are certain things and certain companies that are kind of taking a little bit with, you know, I have a little gripe against Adobe because what Adobe has currently tried to do lately. But thankfully, the industry did kind of speak out and they kind of backed off a little bit, you know, on what they were doing because they were literally trying to take over, you know, the whole thing and saying, hey, if you use Photoshop, then your stuff is ours now. You know, so it was like, you know, so thankfully it looks like they're, you know, recalibrating, you know, that thought process, which it should be the, you know,
Thank
the
God.
right thing to do.
It's just something that we're going to, I mean, as business owners, as photographers, it's something we're going to have to navigate and evolve with and figure out how to use it to make us more efficient. I know we do have friends that are commercial photographers that are having issues with companies using AI more. I just think it's something we're gonna have to roll with the punches and figure out how to use to our advantage and evolve. But
yeah, it's crazy. Like we have a friend that talked to us about how like companies are like not working with commercial photographers as much because they can literally just go into Midjourney, type in what they want for their ad campaigns, and pop those out.
And here's the one thing. So as a photographer and being, worked with commercial clients and stuff like that, like I'm actually kind of a fan of Midjourney and these, image generating AIs. And for the mere fact that I'm like being old fashioned, like I used to have to sketch like my vision. I had to be able to do all of these things to be able to present it to a client. And I still have sketches from shoots that we did for magazines, and stuff like that, where I had sketched the entire thing. And one of my proudest moments was, when I sketched and I looked at it and I gave it, to the art director, and they were like, okay, well, yeah, let's see if you can, really pull it off. And then the first shot that we took, it looked exactly like what the sketch was.
Awesome.
And she started tearing up. She was like, oh my God, now I see it. That was one of my proudest moments. But it was a pain because literally to come up with the entire thing from wardrobe to everything in my head and put it on paper, or be cut out, ideas from different photo shoots, which I hated doing, where we were doing things with, cutting out from magazines. Oh, this is, to build a board, a mood board and all that stuff. And now with AI doing stuff like that, you can kind of put the idea on there and have almost, a rough image of what it's going to kind of look like and be like, hey, this is what we're going for. And I have like yourself, colleagues who are, commercial, and they're like, oh, well, they're doing, I'm like, well, why don't you use it as a tool? Like, it should be your tool, man. Oh, like, if you have an idea, put all that stuff on there, go show it to your client, and I'll guarantee you. And they started doing that, and they're like, oh, dude, this is, I'm like, yeah, like it's a tool. I think everything is, you can definitely, it can be detrimental.
Yeah.
If you're afraid of it, but if you incorporate it into what you're doing, it can definitely be extremely beneficial.
Absolutely.
To what you're saying. So, with the again, I don't think AI is going anywhere or anything.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. All right, guys. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything, put them down on here, and we'll definitely ask. You doing good?
I'm good.
Good. Perfect.
I'm starting to sweat a little bit.
Good. No. That's nothing wrong with that. You guys like it?
Yes. It's very good.
So yeah, it's definitely something that all right, let's go move a little bit more into like the business aspect of it, because I'm very, very interested. Again, the photo industry is very male dominated. I'm very, very happy. I'm very glad that there is a shift, and there are so many more women coming into the industry that are powerhouses. There have been many years, we've had, a lot of women that have been part of the industry that have been fantastic, but it's for the most part has been a male dominated industry. But now more and more you see a lot of women that are coming in, as creators.
A lot of women and minorities now.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. You're very, very, very true. So with that, you as being a female coming into an industry, what do you see the industry? Have you been well received? Have you seen a shift within the last, let's say, decade? Where for both good and bad, of it. What's your vision? What are you seeing? What do you think still needs to change within the industry?
I mean, I think that when we first started, like for instance, when we went to WPPI,
It was probably our first WPPI. I think was 2015, 2016,
I think around,
something like that.
maybe even earlier. No,
Close enough.
But
yeah,
what we saw was mostly men, mostly white men, And I do think, like, for instance, this last WPPI that we
was
went to, it was
Completely
insane.
different than the one, our first one.
It felt, the energy was different, and who you saw represented was definitely
Was-
different. So definitely a lot more women teaching, a lot more women just connecting, a lot more women, you know, there, just present. And I think that it felt amazing. It felt amazing to see that. I do think that when it comes to these bigger corporations, these you still have that problem. That's still an issue, but we coming for them. Like, their days are numbered.
Absolutely, and as it should be. I mean, you know, one thing that I'm very proud of that we have done is we try to be as, you know, supportive to you know, female photographers, you know, and minorities, you know, because I myself am a minority. You know, I'm an immigrant. You know, so on that part, I saw the struggles within the industry. You know, so I can only imagine, you know, minority and, you know, women that are minority, you know, have it even twice as hard, you know, when it comes to that. What do you think? What are the challenges? You know, what challenges do you think typically women have in this industry currently that you would love for them to change?
So one of the things that I see is I think that, and I can speak especially for like minority women who are minorities, there is a hesitancy to asking for help, and knowing that when you reach out, you're going to be received well, right? You're not going to be looked at as, oh, you're just a hobbyist, or you're a waste of my time. And in the workshops that we've done and the different, you know, experiences that we've had with teaching, I have done my very best to like make, especially women, especially women who are minorities, feel like so comfortable in that space to ask what they want to, or to feel like, you know, social media does this thing where, you know, it makes you look like you're this huge big deal, but just helping them know, like, everybody is right in the same, like, everyone is the same. Everyone is struggling, everyone is figuring ish out, right? It doesn't matter what it looks like on social media. It doesn't matter what, you know, people are perceiving. Everyone is figuring this crap out all together. So just making it feel achievable, relatable. So that's something that we really try hard to make sure that everyone feels. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I answered every part of your question.
No, that was great. I mean, basically it's just that. Do you have, like, for example, like now you are an inspiration to a lot. Like you just spoke, you know, you're an inspiration to women, you know, to minorities, you know, women that are minorities, and stuff like that. Do you have something that kind of changed, or do you have a specific story about a female that you looked up to? I want both. I want a positive and a negative one.
Of a female? Go ahead.
Yeah, just, you know, because I think this is something, you know, that I don't think is very spoken, because within the industry itself, there are a lot of people that are not very nice people. Let's be honest. You know, people that, you know, you one time thought were great, whatever, and then you got to meet them and you were like, they're not so great. You know. Do you have any, you know, a story of someone that you really kind of looked up to and you were kind of disappointed, and the other, you know, on the other side of the coin as well, someone that maybe you know, inspired you completely?
I mean, I don't have
We don't have
an
anything negative.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's great.
But like definitely positive experiences. Like one that Sue Bryce was like a huge inspiration to me.
She's transformative.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Sue, I mean, she's a powerhouse.
yeah, she is.
She's a powerhouse. So.
No way to deny that, man. So like she was definitely inspirational in empowering me to move forward with like portraiture, doing portraiture more. And what I loved is like she was very transparent with like the fact that she's an introvert, that she wasn't like, you know, when she gets up on stage, it's not, oh, this is just my home, I'm comfortable. And it's a struggle. It's uncomfortable. But at the same time, you know, she understood the importance of it. She understood like how transformative her story could be for others. And I think that's a lot of, you know, the inspiration that I pull into my journey with education and, you know, because I am very much an introvert. Both of us are.
And so I have a little, and this is something that I'm going to share because I remember when we first started talking, I was like, you need to start teaching. You need to be an educator. You have a lot to share and stuff. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. And I was like, I kind of already, I was like, yeah, I'm already kind of told, and you're going to be you're going to be at Fearless and you're going to be at WPPI for sure. And oh, yeah, by the way, I think imaging as well.
Oh, gosh,
so you literally like, you got a trifecta within the first 3 months. You had one, you had January, February, and March. I was like,
you threw me into the fire.
Yeah, I did. I absolutely did. But it was because one, I knew you were more than capable of doing it. That was number one. But number two, you had such passion for your work that there was no way that I knew you were going to fail. You know? And I remember you were like, yeah, but I'm such an introvert. I don't know if I'm gonna. The very first time I saw or I heard you speak was probably up to this moment, one of my favorite talks I've ever heard. Just for the mere fact of you, it was so different from anything that I had ever heard. It was so raw. It was so inspiring, but it was so real that it showed why your imagery looks the way it does. You know, most of the time, including myself, when we go up there, you know, and we teach, you know, I'm very technical and I'm funny and I'm awkward because I'm a geek and I've never really had friends. So I kind of go up there and, you know, and kind of I'm a goofball when it comes to it. But, you know, I relate, you know, try to relate to people as much as possible. But with you, it was so different. It was so refreshing, you know, to see. And I think that's something that I personally believe is missing in the industry, the realness, the rawness of everything that's kind of, that is going. And that's kind of goes with what we started talking about, you know, the state of the industry, what it is that everybody's trying to put this kind of like facade for social media, for everything that's going out there. Everyone kind of tippy toes, you know, around certain subjects, around certain, you know, things that, you know, well, what if I say the wrong thing? Instead of being, you know, honest and real and raw, you know. And I think that's one of the things that I think has helped you guys as creators, as educators, as, you know, business owners to be very different. And I hope that kind of stays, with that. So
we're doing our best. I think that it's important to, one of the things that I think helped to transform our business was us finally leaning into just doing what really spoke to us and what really, you know, resonated. And then as far as like speaking, shout out to my mom and dad, because my father's a pastor. My mom is a pastor's kid.
That's right.
My parents trained us.
Her, not me.
Well, when it comes to like me, my sister, and my brother, like They trained us when it comes to speaking, to being in front of people, because if it wasn't for that, it would not be happening. So my parents definitely prepared us for the stage.
That's all right. So a couple of more questions, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. But what kind of advice would you give women, young women, or women that are kind of started out now, and that want to start a career, in photography, or just in the in the industry, in the creative industry? Do you have any advice for women, for young women, or just women in general that are kind of on the fence? Oh, I really want to do it, but they have those self-doubts.
Don't overthink it. Don't assume that, owning a business is like this world that you have to learn and know before you actually go into it. I think that what's awesome about a creative business is that the business is important, right? The business aspect is how you...
It's the most important.
It is.
Yeah.
But leaning into your passions and leaning into what speaks to you, because we're all made different. We're all different. And what makes us unique is what will draw people to you. It's what will set you apart. It's what will create space for you. So leaning into what speaks to you, leaning into whatever it is that God has blessed you with is important. And not listening to others, not listening to other people talk about what they think you should do, or what they think looks good, or what they think would sell, because they don't get it. They don't get your art. They don't get your process. So there's no way that they can truly tell you what they think it's not going to work. Whatever it is that they tell you is not going to make sense, because it's not going to fall in line with who you are.
Everyone has an audience.
Exactly. So I think it's really important to just, even if it feels weird, like when I started doing the more creative portraiture, no one was doing it. No one was doing the creative portraiture for maternity. Nobody was doing it in that way, because women weren't really that excited about being in front of the camera pregnant, or if they were just so sick of seeing it done the way that everybody else was doing it, or whatever the case.
Every man was doing.
Every man. Just, and I was really afraid of following that passion. I was afraid of dressing clients up, of making things, because my passions are fashion design. My passions are creating things with my hands. My passions are, having a vision and being able to actually create it with my fingers, place it on a client, and then take a picture of it, right? The set, everything. That is something that gets me going. So that's when things started to really click for me. And I think that if I thought that way from the very beginning, we'd be in a very different place right now.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. Great advice. And I'll be honest, as a photographer, being now currently on both sides, I was as a photographer at one time and as a creator and all that stuff, and now being on this side, of the photo industry. I think, the industry itself it's owes it to women to be able to help as much as possible, which kind of leads me to my next question. Like, how can the photography community support, empower women to pursue leadership roles, or help women and creatives more within the industry. In specific, I want to talk about like us, like Gikoto. What can we do to help and make this community of women, to grow within the industry?
I think that having more opportunities where, you're inviting women to come and learn, or to come together and just connect, network. I think that there was a community that we were part of some time ago called Trigger Happy. And that was a meetup that was like once a month, and they would have photographers from over the country that would come and speak. But what was great is a lot of women would go to these meetups, and because they would empower each other, different women would feel empowered to continue with their business if they felt like they weren't doing well, or just being able to hear from other people in general about how their businesses were doing or what they were doing to help improve their businesses or get more traffic, or, I think that creating communities is a huge help to photographers, because then people know that they're not struggling by themselves. They know that they are not an outlier. They know that nothing's wrong with them, right? It's just they're going through the motions like everybody else, and, there's a light at the end of the tunnel for them.
Awesome. Okay. All right. That's definitely great. Well, again, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know you guys have an awesome weekend here coming up, with the conference. So if you guys, what's the name of the conference again?
Maternity and Newborn Summit.
Right, and that's going to be up in the Colony if you are not aware of it. And if you are we've been talking about female photographers. If you are a female photographer and did not know about this, they're up in the Colony. Hopefully you'll be able to register on the day of, and that starts on Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, it starts on Saturday and Sunday. Amazing photographers that are going to be there.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to learn. If you are a photographer, especially if you're a female photographer and you photograph maternity, you photograph newborn, even if you don't, I think that you will find a lot of value, in this conference. So if registration is still open, grab a seat.
Hopefully it is.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So again, thank you guys so much for stopping by, for coming, and hopefully here very in the near future, I would love for Gikoto to have Sophia come in here and teach. And I think I'm not putting you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot.
okay.
But I would love, we would love to have you come in here and definitely do a free of charge, seminar for women.
Yes,
I think they have a lot, to offer, and there's so many talented individuals out there that are being overlooked. Right. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen anymore, and hopefully we'll be able to change, that part of the industry.
That would be great.
Again, thank you guys so much. Any last words that you guys want to say?
Nope. We had a great time. Yeah. We had an awesome time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You did great, babe.
Thank you, babe. You did too.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Like I said, when we post this, we'll have links to everything that we kind of talked about, all everything. If you guys have any other questions or if you have anything, please, hit us up. Currently, right now, we're having our summer sale, so please go in there. The more you buy, the more you're gonna save with everything. Also, please check out Sophia's work. And do you have any workshops or anything coming up?
We have a workshop on the 19th.
So less than a week now.
August.
Oh, a week, yeah.
Of July.
So
Of
next
July.
Friday, yep.
So next Friday, I was like, well, are you guys sold out?
No, not yet.
Okay, not yet. So hey, there's still some spaces available. what we'll do is I'll get you guys if we'll put it on the website, direct link to people to register if that's okay with you guys. And you guys can go directly to the geekoto.com, go under ambassadors, go under Sophia, and you'll be able to click on there and register if you guys I might be paying a visit next weekend. I'm going to Atlanta next weekend.
And then I think we're going to announce. So this is the workshop on the 19th is more advanced, but we're also going to do a beginner workshop here soon, probably September, maybe.
Yeah, we haven't decided yet.
We haven't
we'll
decided yet,
announce it.
but for people who are just getting into photography, for mothers who want to be able to take beautiful portraits of their children and family, we're going to do an entry level beginner workshop for them. Just so. Go ahead.
And one more thing, we will be releasing our online clothing store for photo shoot wear. So a lot of people
what?
Yes,
Yeah. How?
a lot of.
Okay, all right.
Still in the works.
There it is.
Right.
Okay, all right. You heard it here first.
Yeah, Sophia Barrett
Yes.
Studios Couture. So that will be coming
that's
out
awesome.
here
That's
soon.
fantastic. That's great. All right, cool. Well, we'll have all of those links and everything, at the bottom of this video. Also, we'll have direct links, directly from the Geekoto website and stuff like that. Again, thank you guys so much for for coming and being over here. And we again, we'll see you over this weekend. You guys, I'm really kind of excited, not kind of, but very excited, to again hear your talk, and how inspirational everything is. But to all of you guys, thank you for sticking around for everything. You guys have a great one, and we will see you here very soon. We will be announcing some new things that are coming up very, very soon. But as for now, guys, say bye.
Bye.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much. We will see you very, very, very soon.